So where are we and why are we here?
Well, we're here at the Tower of London, one of the most important royal palaces throughout the medieval period. As you can see, you've got the White Tower just behind me, built by William the Conqueror. It's a really important place for the medieval kings. It's a palace, it's a prison, it's a fortress. And of course, we're here to talk about Richard II, who would have known this tower at different points in his reign, some of them incredibly high and celebratory, and some of them terrible lows as well. The first big occasion he's here is in 1377 for his coronation.
And how old was he then?
Well, believe it or not, he was only 10 years old.
He was 10?
10 years old.
And what did that coronation look like?
It was spectacular. And his uncle, John of Gaunt, an important person in the play, of course, he perhaps orchestrates his coronation. And one of the things he does, perhaps for the first time, is process from the Tower of London to Westminster through the streets of London. And in fact, we're here in front of the King's House, and that's where Charles II in 1661, hundreds of years later, had breakfast before beginning his procession through the streets of London for his own coronation. And that was a tradition probably begun by the young Richard II.
Amazing. Tell me about the Peasants' Revolt.
Well, the Peasants' Revolt is probably one of the most dramatic events in English history. It's partly about tax. There was a poll tax being raised, and it said that the royal tax collectors were very rough and ready in the way that they were collecting taxes. And so there's this massive uprising, and Richard II is right at the centre of it.
Right, and how old is he at this point?
He's still only 14 years
still only
old.
14,
He's 14
okay.
years old. It said that he was up in the White Tower looking out over the City of London, and he could see the city on fire, and it must have been absolutely terrifying.
And what repercussions did this all have for the rest of Richard's reign?
I think it probably gives him a really interesting impression of his role in society. He meets Wat Tyler, who is one of the leaders of the Peasants' Revolt, and he's actually killed in a bit of a skirmish. And this young 14-year-old boy, he rides his horse straight out to them, a 14-year-old boy on his own, and says, "I'm your leader now, follow me and I will meet all your demands." And I think that probably gives him an impression for the rest of his reign, firstly of how precarious politics and society and ruling can be, but also of his own importance and his own powers. And maybe, as you know, towards the end of his reign, there are some serious repercussions to that. So if we fast forward now to 1399, which is the period of Richard's reign, which the play is really concerned, he's back at the Tower. But he's not here for a triumphal coronation procession. He's not here as the fortress fighting against, the rebels. He's here as a prisoner, one of the other great functions of the Tower. And he's here because, as you know, his cousin Bolingbroke has taken the throne. He's been deposed, and he's now imprisoned for a short period at the Tower of London. And he's then taken to Pontefract Castle, where he dies. Some say murdered, some say died under other circumstances. But whatever happened, however he died, his body is produced, as in the play. And finally, the reign of Richard II is over.
Wow. And the Tower really has been the through line and the backdrop to so many events in his life.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's really bookmarked it. He starts here with a great coronation procession full of triumph. He's there experiencing it as a fortress during the Peasants' Revolt. And then finally he's imprisoned here at the end of his reign. And so he really, it provides the backdrop, and it just shows the sort of precarious nature of kingship.